Okay, now you guys can see my screen. You would be at your main screen here in SkySlope, or your dashboard or home base, whatever you want to refer it to. You would click Manage Transactions to create an input in your transaction. So when we click on that, we wait for SkySlope to load. Now what we would do is we would go here to this green button in the upper right corner that says Create Transaction. And I'm going to briefly just show you this because I already have a file, but we'll just walk through. Anything that has a red asterisk would be something that you would need to enter. So you would need to enter your name as agent, MLS number, the street number, city, sales price, the source of the deal, which would be previous customer, prospecting, whatever would be applicable there, whether or not it's an office lead. Oh, hold on a second. I'm getting a message. I think someone's trying to get to our class. Give me 1 second here. Okay. Oh, okay. Someone is trying to get in. We would enter our acceptance date, and up here we would select our checklist type, which in this situation we would go down to residential sale buyer, and then we would type of representation would be purchase tenant, and then we would enter our closing date and hit next. For ease, I already have one in here. That way I avoid doing numerous practice files. So we'll pull one up so this way you can see the information in front of you, how we would do it. So here I filled out agent, which would have been myself. I just put in a general number so we could have something in there, but you would put in the MLS, the street number, street name, city and state and zip code. You would add a co-agent if you had a co-agent situation, or leave that blank. Sales price, source type, office lead, acceptance date, year built, and then we would pick our checklist type, which was residential sale buyer, type of representation, purchase tenant, year built, and picked a closing date. So once we had all of that in there, it would then bring us here where we would enter in our commission info. So it already would populate our sales price. We would enter the commission amount. It would populate the number for us. We would then enter whether we were holding earnest money, which EXP does not, so that would be a no. And if there was any sort of referral, we would add that information here. In this case, there's no referral. And if there was any other pertinent notes that you needed to leave regarding your commission, you could add a comment and save it here just so everyone will be made aware on the financial TSS side of things. So now what we're going to get into is how to split our documents that we would probably upload to the documents file. So for ease, I am just going to upload this one here. I'm making sure everyone can still hear me. Yeah, okay, good. So now that we have, let's say we uploaded all of our documents and we're going to split them out. So what we do is we check mark what we want to split. So we're checking this PDF here and we're going over to the right where it says split. And then we are going to split and assign accordingly. So this first page is the acknowledgement and confirmation of disclosures. So we would go in, and SkySlope is intuitive. Once you start typing a few of the letters, it will populate what it thinks you might be trying to facilitate or attach with that document. So this is page 1 of 1. So one thing to be very mindful of is when you start and stop your pages to make sure your documents are complete. The next one is going to be the contract. So residential sales contract, that's going to be pages 2 through 7 here, 2 to 7. And then here we have the disclosure of broker services. And that is going to be pages, oh, that didn't take that one, 2 to 7. This will be pages 8 to 8. And this is our financing loan document, the VA loan in this case. And this is going to be split pages 9 to 10. Oops. And then we have our estimated cost to buy in. That is going to be page 11 through 12. We have the affiliated business, the XP affiliated business disclosure. That'll be pages 13 through 14. And then let's see, wire fraud. Page 15 to 15. And we'll put in the buyer broker agreement. That's going to be pages 16 through 17. And then we're going to come down once we have everything split out page wise and assigned the title to it. We're going to come down to split and assign. Click that. And we'll wait for SkySlope to do its thing. And we are going to click go to checklist so we can see how all of these are read on our checklist now, because we have split out from a PDF all the pertinent documents to be assigned to our checklist for a transaction file. Let's see here. Does anybody have any questions right now for me about splitting documents, assigning documents, or setting up a SkySlope file? Anything that's jumping out for me to go over? Nothing? Okay, let me see what else I have on my to-do list. Oh, I hear Trip. Did you have a question?
No, I didn't. I was
okay, just making sure. Okay. Checking on one thing. See. Here is a little tidbit of advice. I don't, up here on my, I think you guys can see it. You see where it says email and it says Dax Drive 8201. This is something to be made of, to focus on. This is your SkySlope email. You want to copy this email on any correspondence you send out, because what that will do is when you copy and paste this email, it'll automatically log it for you, any communication in your log for this file, which makes it easy. Let's say, God forbid, you have any sort of situation arise or come up, it will make it easy for the broker team to go in and take a look and kind of see what may or may not be transpiring. And also it helps you keep accurate communication logs, which is very important to have in your file. And it's all in one place. SkySlope, you need to think of it as kind of like your file cabinet. This is going to house any documentation that's signed, any communication that's taking place. It all goes into your SkySlope file, if that makes sense. Let's see here. Okay, I think if there's anything else that might be applicable to go over, if anybody has something that you want me to go over or something that you've come across that would be helpful. Or April, anything that you can think of?
I have a quick question.
Sure.
So whenever we need to get a hold of anybody, this is where I was kind of confused. Like, do we need to email the OK.compliance, or do we need to email the OK transaction? I mean, which email address do we need to be using?
If it's something for SkySlope or something related to your contract, if there was something pushed back in compliance that you have a question on or need help getting a remedy for, it would be compliance. You're never going to go wrong CCing the broker email, because it will all end up into our inbox and it will get split out accordingly to who it needs to go to. But I would say if it's a contract related question or issue or something has arisen to a kind of an elevated level, that would go to the OK broker email. If it's something for pushback on compliance or SkySlope questions or anything in that regard, that would go to the compliance email. And anything financial, I believe, is the transaction email. So anything in regards to like the back end of things in accounting or different things like that, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay, so if we had a question about DA, because we've got one that's getting ready to close on Friday, and I can see and I'm glad I joined in the class today because, I didn't know that you could look at that log.
Mm-hmm.
And it says, it looks like it got changed from to approved, from
Mm-hmm.
missing some documents to approved. So since this is our first transaction going through this process with you guys, I'm not sure of how this all works.
Sure. So in that situation, if you don't notice your DA, at least I would say at least 7 to 10 days out, you want to reach out to the TSS, which will be the transaction email. However, you can always send us a workplace. You can send me, Nicole, or the state, anyone at the state team a chat so we can go in and see what may be going on in the file, because they should be sending out your DAs within 10 days of closing. Now, it could be they're backed up, or there could be something going on, or they're wanting clarity. So your best bet in that situation, this is how I recommend you move forward. I would send an email to transactions and CC the broker email. And then if you don't hear something within a timely fashion, I would give them at least 1 to 2 hours, just because they are very busy on the back end. If you don't hear something from them, then reach out to the broker team in workplace chat so we can try to triage where we can to kind of reach out to maybe that TSS to see if they're getting it to it, if it's on their radar, or, something to that effect. Does that help?
Yeah. So is it OK.transactions?
Let me see the exact email. I'll put it in the chat. Give me 1 second.
Okay, that'd be great.
I just want to make sure I give you the right thing. But yeah, first and foremost, I would email just so you have that communication log. And then if you don't hear anything, then communicate via chat. Excuse me.
Okay, so now when they send out the DA, do we see that? Like, do we check it for approval, or?
When they send out the DA, you should be CC'd on that email that goes to title. So you'll be aware of it via email, but it will also populate in your documents tab. And if you're looking at the screen ahead, they should attach it down here where it says the commission disbursement in your transaction. It should be attached there. Sometimes when they're very busy and they're just trying to get them out, it might be living in your documents tab, just not assigned yet. So your first step, I guess I should say, before emailing, look in your documents tab to see if you see a commission distribution document, because sometimes it's in there. Excuse me, I have like a cough. Sometimes it's in there. If it's not and they just haven't assigned it yet, if you don't see anything at all, then follow the protocol of emailing transactions and CCing the broker team. If you don't hear from them within 1 to 2 hours, then start to workplace chat. And I'm going to put the email up in 1 second for you. I'm going to just do this. Screenshot this real quick.
So you said it would be in the documents tab, but sometimes it's in the checklist too?
Sometimes they upload it to the documents tab and they forget to assign it to the checklist. So when they populate it and they email it out, it'll populate because they'll copy this email and it should populate in your documents tab no matter what. Now, sometimes they're going so quickly just to make sure it gets out that they forget to assign it to your checklist. So first, always look to see if it's hanging out in your documents tab. If it's not there and it's not been assigned, you don't see anything at all, then you send the email. If you don't hear from them in a timely fashion, then you reach out to us via workplace chat and we'll triage it for you. And then I'm going to put this little screenshot here in the chat that has the communication kind of at a glance for everybody. Here we go.
And that chat, man, that is so small. It is so tiny. I don't know how to increase the view on that.
On the workplace chat?
On the chat. No, this chat box.
Oh,
right
okay.
Here. Like
I think
microscopically small.
If you hover over the chat box, do you see the arrows to the top right? I think you can drag it to resize it to make the chat box bigger, and that might make the font a little bigger for you.
Well, I've tried that, and yeah, it doesn't.
Unless anybody else has something, that was my only tip. That was my only trick for that one. Okay, let's see. And here we go. Saving. There we go. And I'm just gonna put this right here. Download. There you go. Okay. Did that populate for everybody? There you go. I put a little screenshot in the chat. If you click on that link, it has all of the emails, so you have it all in one place and can kind of maybe save that to your desktop or whatever would be convenient for you, just to access that at a glance.
Okay. Not sure how I would.
Oh, do you see the
that
chat?
link.
Do you see, if you click on it, if you open that link, and then you right click and you could do save image as, and then just save it to your desktop.
Save the image.
Yes, ma'am.
I was thinking I could click on the link, and I'm like, I can't click on that link.
No problem at all. Does anybody else have any other questions or anything? I've gone over my notes. Let's see. How do you split a commission between a mentor and a referring agent in SkySlope? Okay, so that is going to be something. So how you would do that is if you have somebody referring this to you, and the commission is where you would add the referral. So you would say, let's say the referral was internal and it was another. Is this a referral coming from somebody outside of EXP or inside of EXP? We'll just do internal, or are you typing? Okay, outside. Okay. So if it's a referral, so you're going to click external, and then you would just type their name and their brokerage information. So you would type the referring agent's name, their brokerage information, and the amount. You could either do the percentage or if it was a flat fee, but you would just put that they're getting 25%. And then you would save that information, and you would need to have a referral document go into your checklist item down here, a referral and a W-9, if that makes sense, because we're going to be paying somebody outside of EXP. Does that make sense? And then the mentor, that would be handled on the back end by the financial side. They would see that on your file. That wouldn't be something that you would input, but you could make a note if you wanted to, just to draw their attention to it. You can make a note, excuse me, down here, an additional commission, but that's already, if you have a mentor, that's already on the back end of your file. They'll see that. Oh, sure, no problem. And two, I just want to make myself available. If at any time you guys want to schedule any extra time, feel free to reach out to me and we can schedule a time for you to come into my office to go over something maybe more in detail or something maybe a little bit more in depth. But I'm trying to just make sure I hit all the highlights. Let's see. And then a biggie is whenever you are under contract to go ahead. Also, the external referrals, we need this sign. Yes, exactly. I'll show you. I think we can get that. I'll show you how to find the referral document, Charlotte. If you look here, if we go to working documents, well, it'll probably look different for you guys. So let me go back to the main page. So to get a referral document that you would need to fill out for that external agent, you would need to go to working documents. All right, then we'll find referral agreement. So you go to working docs, office documents, and I believe the referral agreement might be page 2. Let's see. Oh, let's see. No. I need to click on Oklahoma. Here we go, Oklahoma. There we go. Okay, so you would go to, let's start that process over. Working documents, office docs. You would click, I think you would see either Oklahoma or Oklahoma OKC. If you click Oklahoma or Oklahoma OKC, it's going to be on page 2, Oklahoma referral agreement. And this is where you would fill out the information. And this would need to be filled out by the applicable, oh, sorry. Oh no, you're fine, but what does this split do on the documents? I'm not sure what you're referencing, Taylor. Did that help you, Charlotte, on how to find the referral document for the referral agreement?
And there's not any way to search for the document. You just have to kind of know what page it's on. There's not a way to search for it to kind of narrow it down.
Not to, unless, let me see, I don't think you can search, no. I don't think there is a way to search. It's just typically, I think we have the most have 3 pages and you just kind of have to look for it. I don't think there's a way to search for it.
Yeah, this is the one I needed this document for, the one we're getting ready to close on, and I kept going into the Oklahoma referral folder. And,
oh, okay.
Or referral agreement folder, and because I was thinking, okay, well, that makes sense, but that's really not the referral agreement, it's an invoice.
Yeah. And then back to Taylor's question. Okay, whenever you go to documents, there's a split, but okay, so I'll show you that real quick. Oh yeah, April just, I'll show you a visual here. We'll go back real quick. We'll bring up this file. Ooh. That split button allows you, so let's go down here. When you select a document, like this is a PDF that has multiple documents in it. When you hit split, it allows you to separate them out into individual PDFs to assign them to the checklist. So for example, this first page, because there's 17 pages here, so, and I can't attach this whole document to each checklist item because that would kind of create some confusion for compliance. So what we do is we separate it out. And so I'll just show you with this page, it would be page 1 to 1. And then the contract would be the next thing in my PDF that I want to split out. So then I would type in contract and select what would be applicable, and then tell SkySlope which pages to split. So pages 2 through 7 here. Hopefully that gives you a visual there. And then you would go down to split and assign. And it would attach them then to your checklist item. Does that help? Okay, okay, perfect. Okay, no problem. Do I need to fill this out for the transaction desk and MLS as well, or can I use, you can use, I would recommend starting to make the transition to SkySlope because this is the platform that EXP requires your documents to be in. This is the platform that compliance processes. So I would start facilitating your documents via SkySlope. If that answers your question, Charlotte. Yes, you can just use SkySlope. Now, to be able to facilitate documents for signature and different things out, to fill that out, you would utilize DigiSign. So I'll go over that real quick with you. So let's just say you needed to get something signed. Let's say we uploaded, let's just show you. Upload. Oh, I'm going to download first the referral agreement. So give me 1 second to go back, just so you can kind of have a live visual. Oklahoma. Go. I'm going to download this so I can upload it and show you guys how you can kind of have a visual. I'm a visual learner and kind of tactical. I'll have to see it, do it. And so we'll go back in and show you kind of how to utilize DigiSign really quick. So what you would do is you would upload the document that you needed to facilitate. So in this case, we're going to do the referral agreement. It's uploading. I'm going to check mark it like that. I'm going to go up here to where it says DigiSign. Click on that. Then what we're going to do is we're just going to, so this is the document I want to move forward. So I'm going to click next. And here's where your buyer's information, people's information would populate. So let's say I want to sign it. So we'll just say me. Next. So I can put in a writable field, click there, drop that text box, type in what would be applicable in this situation, just so you can see it happening. And you can drop another text box, enter the name, address, and etc. by doing that. And then signature the same, you would just click signatures of wherever there would need to be a signature. But keeping in mind in the beginning to make sure that you have everybody that you would need to be involved in this document. So the originating agent information would need to be in there, managing broker for the originating agent, et cetera, et cetera. Does that make sense? Just so you guys can kind of see how SkySlope and DigiSign is pretty straightforward. It's very similar to Dotloop and Transaction Desk. I think SkySlope's a little more intuitive than Transaction Desk. I feel like if I had to compare it to something, SkySlope is more iPhone user and Transaction Desk is more Android user, if that makes sense. Does that help kind of give you a visual? So now that I've added a signature, just so you guys can see the next step, you would go ahead and, let me see. Yes, okay. And be careful because it's sensitive. It likes to populate as soon as you click something. You would hit send. You would put your message, hi, so-and-so. This is the referral agreement for your review and signature. If you have any questions, please let me know. Send for signatures. It would go out to whoever would be applicable that you selected. And then once it's completed, you'd receive an email, kind of very similar to Dotloop or Transaction Desk. What was that? I hope that helped kind of give you a little visual there. Brief visual. Utilize DigiSign in a way that you would use transaction versus using Transaction Desk. Yep. Any other questions? Anything that's come up?
I have a question based on the the agent market analysis that pops up that's required. Is that required? Like, I know it says required on SkySlope, but do you have to have that with every single transaction?
It is best practice to do that, yes, on every transaction, because what that does is it solidifies, let's say you're representing the buyer, it solidifies why your buyer offered what they did because it was in line with the comps, and that way you're in a defensible position. With the market shifting and different things like that, we want to make sure that we're doing our due diligence for our buyers and or sellers at time of listing, that what we're listing the home for, you have comparables to back that up. Does that make sense? That way you're in a defensible position and you're protecting yourself, you're protecting your client, and ultimately EXP.
Okay, that makes sense. Let me ask you this. If they got an appraisal through a company or whatever, does that appraisal kind of save you there as well? Or I know that we should still do it, but does that also come into play on that too?
Well, if they have an appraisal, that's after the fact. This is kind of our due diligence up front. Does that make sense? Our due diligence to show that we've looked at the market, we've given them comparables, we're seeing what the market's doing within the area of of a similar type in home that they're looking at, and these are the comps, and this is what's closed within the last X amount of days. And it's more the upfront doing your fiduciary due diligence for the client you're representing. Does that make sense? And the appraisal helps. The appraisal definitely helps, but you want to show that you did your due diligence.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Any other questions or anything like that? April, did you have anything you wanted to add to any of Taylor's questions?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I'm excited that we had questions today.
Whoop,
That
I know,
definitely
it's always
helps us show
exciting.
new things.
Yes. And again, making myself available. Do not hesitate to reach out to me, and we can always schedule a time if you want a little more one-on-one time. I'm happy to make myself available in the world or through a Google Meet. Because sometimes I know you might just need I might need another refresher course. One thing I do want to show you guys as well, if you can't find me or it's like 10 o'clock at night and you're like, I don't want to bother Katie, or Katie might already be sleeping because she has a 2-year-old and I go to bed early if she lets me laugh out loud. If you're ever in a situation where you're not sure what to do, or if you go up here, if you see my screen in front of you still, there's a little person with a headset looking icon at the top, kind of to the right of the screen. If you click on that, you can go in here and search anything in the SkySlope support. And they also have a chat down here. You could always start a chat, and that's 24/7. So always in worst case scenario, if you're not sure how to do something or it's later in the evening and I might not respond till the morning, or you can always attempt to reach out to SkySlope support, and you can always search things like create a transaction. And when you do that, it'll bring up any sort of helps, like right here, any sort of help that you might need. There's a video right here. There's a step-by-step right here. So I will, yeah, agreed. Best support team for sure. That way you have just some extra resources there for SkySlope help. But does anyone have any other questions?
I have one more.
Sure.
Whenever we are in SkySlope, and let's say that we go to closing, the documents that we have put in SkySlope, does it automatically go over to I don't know how to Does it automatically go over to the closing company for the documents that they need? Or is there an extra step that we need to do to completely submit everything?
Correctly. So once you close and you get your closing documents and you upload them to your file. So essentially the title company, when you go to closing, and or let's say you don't go to closing, on the DA there's specific instructions that we're supposed to be sent, copies of closing documentation on the DA. But typically the agent goes to closing. Title, you would request that title email you copies of all closing docs. That way you have them electronically to upload to your SkySlope file. You would upload, split, and assign to the checklist item. And then at that point, I believe it goes into a queue for the TSS side. Your best bet is to reach out via chat just to make sure that it gets processed out, because they go in order of close of escrow date to process your file out. So if you have noticed that, hey, I have my stuff in there, but I haven't seen anything happen, or if you're getting direct deposit and you haven't seen that hit, your best bet is to just reach out to us, the state team, so we can triage and direct you to the TSS team to get that processed. Does that answer your question?
Kind of, yeah. So you're saying that I don't need to send off the documents that I have done with my client before closing to title or anything like that?
You're under contract. Is that what you're talking about?
Yes.
So when you contract, I guess, okay, now I'm tracking with what you're asking. I'm sorry, my apologies. So when you go under contract, your best bet is the practice that I do is once you're under contract, you are going to email everybody a part of that transaction. So if you're the buyer's agent, you're going to be sending the under contract email, which would include yourself, the listing agent, title, the title company closer, and the lender. That way everybody's involved. In that email, you're going to include the documents signed up to that point that puts you under contract. You're going to include the contract documents, any addendums, any applicable that would be going to them. You're going to give them the parties information in terms of this is the buyer, the seller, the listing agent, buying agent, and lender information. That way everybody's in the know. Does that help answer your question there?
Yeah, kind of. So you're saying everything that I put into SkySlope automatically goes over to
No.
title for the paperwork that they need and all of that stuff, or does SkySlope just go specifically to EXP for us?
Okay, SkySlope is just specifically for us. That's our document storage for EXP. Now you can forward something on to someone, or you can email something to somebody from SkySlope. You can send it to them via DigiSign, but that is typically where just an EXP thing. SkySlope is where you store. It's your document storage, if that makes sense, and where your compliance takes place.
Okay.
So
Yeah,
SkySlope does not facilitate that. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, that makes sense. Thank you.
Okay, sure. Mm-hmm. Sorry, I'm driving now. Any other questions? This has been a great class. Well, if nobody has any other questions, don't hesitate to reach out to me via workplace chat. And also know that you have your SkySlope resources, and we're here for you. Thank you for coming to class.